press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello students, welcome back to the video classes. Today let us move on to part 37 of some basic principles and techniques. In the previous class, we have discussed about Iupac naming of aromatic compounds, in which I have given the naming of mono-substituted benzene derivatives. That is, when one of the hydrogen atoms of benzene, if it is replaced by one monovalent atom or the group of atoms, then how to name such derivatives of benzene. And even I have given some special names for some benzene derivatives. So today let us move on to the next Iupac naming of aromatic compounds. So when mono substitution is there on the benzene, so that depending on the side chain or the substituent, we have to name the aromatic compounds. If substituent group is there, we need to give the prefix as we are using in aliphatic compounds. But if functional group is present on a side chain or the multiple bonds if it is present on a side chain, then we have to name such compounds as a aryl derivative of aliphatic compound. It means to say, as we used the rules while naming the alicyclic compounds, the same rules we need to apply for naming the aromatic compounds. So whenever the side chain containing multiple bonds or the functional group, then the aryl group becomes substituent. We need to treat the aryl group or a benzene ring as a substituent. So therefore, let us consider the aryl groups now. First one, write down the heading of aryl groups. The common aryl groups in aromatic compounds. As in case of aliphatic compounds, we discussed alkyl groups and alkenyl groups. Like that in aromatic compounds, so there are some important aryl groups and they are, see here, this is benzene. Remove one hydrogen from benzene, this becomes the vacant bond and the formula will be C6H5 with a hyphen. Then the name of this aryl group is phenyl group. Phenyl group. Okay, this name of this group is phenyl group and it is very important aryl group. Whenever the side chain of this benzene ring containing multiple bond or a functional group, then this becomes the substituent. This becomes the substituent and the chain, aliphatic chain containing more number of carbon atoms, then also this benzene ring becomes the aryl group or a substituent group. We need to treat this as a substituent group. Now, you know this is toluene. In the last class I had given toluene, correct? Now, you remove one hydrogen from toluene. Out of 3, remove one hydrogen. You will get one vacant bond for this carbon, one vacant for this carbon. Then the group becomes C6, H5, CH2. Okay. Now, this group is called benzyl group. What is the name of the group? Benzyl group. This group becomes benzyl group. Now, you remove 2 hydrogen from the toluene, 2 hydrogen of methyl group from toluene. Here, from here, you will get 2 vacant bonds on this carbon and the group becomes C6H5 CH, C6H5 CH and the name of the group is benzol group. What is the name of the group? Benzol group. Now, you remove all the 3 hydrogen atoms from toluene from the side chain. Then, what it becomes? It becomes C here with 3 bonds and it becomes C6H5 3 with only carbon, correct? Now, what is this group called? Benzo group. The name of the group will be benzo group. I will give one more group here. This group, CO group, and it is C6H5CO, and this is called benzoyl group, and it is very, very important, benzoyl group. So, this is when monosubstituted benzene in a side chain means, so consider this is benzene ring, correct, and as we said, here is a monosubstitution, let it be A, and this A may be substituent group or it may be functional group. It may be substituent group or the functional group. Now, this is called side chain. What is this called? Side chain, and this is ring structure, that is benzene ring. This is benzene ring, and this is side chain. So, there are two parts in substituted benzenes. One is side chain, another one is benzene ring. The side chain may be substituent group or the functional group. The side chain may contain double or a triple bonds. Is that clear? So, here we have different aryl groups, phenyl group, benzyl group, benzal group, benzo group and benzoyl group. So, these aryl groups are very important. So, we are using this to give common name of some aromatic compounds, and at the same time, if a side chain, aliphatic chain which is attached to the benzene, if it contains multiple bonds, double or a triple bonds, or if it contains the functional group in a side chain, then we need to treat it as a aryl group. The benzene ring, we need to treat it as a substituent group, and to treat it as a substituent group, we require a name of that group, and these are the examples for aryl groups. Clear? Now, let us move on to the monosubstitution only. In monosubstituted compounds, note down these aryl groups. I will give two examples for this. See here. This is the compound, and here we have CH double bond CH2. Side chain is CH double bond CH2 which containing multiple bond. In this compound, in Iupac system, this ring acts as a substituent now. What is the name of this ring? It is nothing but an aryl group, and the name of this aryl group is what? Phenyl group, correct? And the name of the group is phenyl group, so that you can name by taking this as a phenyl group. And one more example I want to give. See here, benzene ring which containing COOH group, and benzene ring which containing COCH3 group. So, in side chain we have multiple bond here. In a side chain we have a functional group here, correct? In side chain again we have a functional group. And this functional group is different because this functional group is a carbon containing terminal functional group, and this functional group is a carbon containing non-terminal functional group. You know, whenever the side chain or the carbon containing terminal functional group, if it is directly attached to the benzene ring, then we need to use the special secondary suffixes for this. I have given a table while naming the alicyclic compounds. There also, when alicyclic ring is directly attached to the carbon containing terminal functional groups, then we have to use the special secondary suffixes for those functional groups. And here also we need to apply the same rule when the carbon containing non-terminal functional group, if it is directly attached to the benzene ring, then this acts as a substituent group, and again this COOH group we need to give a special secondary suffix for COOH group, that is carboxylic acid. Clear? Whereas CO group is a ketone group, it is a non-terminal carbon containing functional group. Here we had to use the same secondary suffix, the common secondary suffix that what we used in aliphatic compounds, the same secondary suffix is used, but this aryl group is treated as substituent. Aryl group is treated as a substituent, or a benzene ring is treated as a substituent here. So, benzene ring or the aryl substituted aliphatic compound. Aryl substituted aliphatic compound. Here also aryl substituted alkane. Like that you have to give the name. Okay. Now, so what is the name for this? The common name for this is styrene. Common name is styrene, or you know that this name of this compound, this group is vinyl group. So, you can name it as vinyl benzene as a common name, and this is the special name for this styrene. It is a commercial name. You heard about polystyrene. Polystyrene is one of the important polymers which is mainly used as a packing material. So, packing material andre ಈಗ electronic goods, ಈಗ ರೆಫ್ರಿಜರೇಟರ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಟೆಲಿವಿಷನ್, ಟಿವಿ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಪ್ಯಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ವೈಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಪಾಲಿಮರ್ನ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಪ್ಯಾಕಿಂಗ್ ಮೆಟೀರಿಯಲ್ ಆಗಿ. ಥರ್ಮೋಕೋಲ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು. ಸೊ that thermocol polymer is made up of a monomer called styrene. The monomer used, the simple units used in that polymer is styrene. And since it is a vinyl group, vinyl benzene, you can also name it as vinyl benzene, but actual name of this is IUPAC name ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ 1-phenyl ethene. So 1-phenyl ethene, 1-ethene, eth 1-ene. 1-ene means the double bond is between first and the second carbon. So 1-phenyl ethene is the Iupac name. So vinyl benzene is also common name, and a commercial name or a special name is styrene here. So this is styrene where we have double bond at the side chain, then this acts as a substituent. Similarly here benzene ring is attached to COOH. I have already given the special name benzoic acid. Actually the benzene carboxylic acid. Benzene carboxylic acid is the Iupac name. Benzene carboxylic acid is the Iupac name, or else you can also name it as 1-phenyl. So the carboxylic acid containing one carbon is nothing but methanoic acid. Therefore you can name it as 1-phenyl methanoic acid. 1-phenyl methanoic acid. See here, either you can use benzene carboxylic acid. Carboxylic acid is the special secondary suffix that we can use for COOH group, as it is a carbon containing terminal functional group. So you can name it as benzene carboxylic acid, or you can name it as 1-phenyl methanoic acid, the aryl derivative of methanoic acid. What is the name of aryl group? Phenyl group. Similarly, so what is the name? 1, 2. So 2 carbon atoms are there. Ethane, one is the secondary suffix for ketone functional group. So secondary suffix for ketone functional group here, CO, one is the CO is the functional group of ketone. Ethanone is the name of this compound, and it gets substituted with the benzene ring, but benzene ring containing one vacant bond, then it becomes a substituent phenyl group. So therefore the name is 1-phenyl ethanone. In the last class I had given acetophenone. So, acetophenone is the special name, acetophenone. Acetophenone is the special name, but Iupac name if you want to give. So, this is the functional group present in a side chain. Ethanone is the basic root word. So, it gets substituted to phenyl group. What is the position of phenyl group? 1. Therefore, 1-phenyl ethanone is the Iupac name. So, in a monosubstituted benzene or the aromatic compounds or the benzene derivatives, if side chain containing multiple bond are a functional group, then we need to treat benzene ring as a substituent and it becomes an aryl group. That group is phenyl group. Now, let us move on to few more examples for this. Let me give a few more examples. That is, consider the compound CH2Cl, second one CHCl2, third one CCl3. CCl3. So, these are the compounds here. And one more I want to give, that is COCl. Okay. Now, here you know this group, what is the common name? Aryl group. What is this aryl group? C6H5CH2, benzyl group. Therefore, it is benzyl chloride. Common name I am writing, benzyl chloride, and this becomes benzal chloride, or more specifically you can write benzal dichloride. Okay. Now, what about this? What about this compound? Benzo trichloride. Benzo trichloride. So, tri stands for 3 chlorine atoms. C6H5C is a benzo group. Therefore, it is benzo trichloride. C6H5CH is benzal group. Therefore, benzal chloride, or more specifically you can use benzal dichloride. Clear? Now, what about the C6H5CH2 is there, that is benzyl chloride. C6H5CH2, it is benzyl chloride. Clear? So, C6H5CH2 is benzyl chloride, benzal chloride, benzo trichloride. C6H5CH2 is benzyl, C6H5CH is benzal, C6H5C is benzo. Correct? Now, these are the common names that we can use, or the special names you can say, but while naming it according to IUPAC nomenclature, so this is one carbon. If CH4, if it is there, see here, CH4 is methane. Remove one hydrogen and substitute it with chlorine, then it becomes chloromethane. Correct? Chloromethane. And now remove one more hydrogen and replace it by C6H5. Then it becomes phenyl chloro substituted methane. Correct? So, methane gets substituted to two substituent groups. One is chlorine, another one is phenyl. Clear? So, you need to arrange them in alphabetical order. What is the order? Chlorophenyl methane. Chlorophenyl methane. Chlorophenyl methane is the Iupac name, but we are not using this Iupac name. So, commonly we are using benzyl chloride. So, chlorophenyl methane is the Iupac name. Similarly, so this is the only one carbon. You can name it as 1,1 dichloro-phenyl methane. 1 comma 1 dichloro-phenyl methane. And what about this? 111 trichloro-phenyl methane. Clear? So 111 trichloro-phenyl methane. So chlorophenyl substituted benzene. You have 3 types. You can use benzyl chloride, benzal chloride, benzo trichloride, and one more is, as I have given, this is the group COCl, and you know that C6H5 CO is a benzoyl. So therefore commonly used name here is benzoyl chloride. Benzoyl chloride. Okay, commonly used name for this is benzoyl chloride. But COCl is a acid chloride functional group and which containing carbon. Clear? Which containing carbon. So what is the secondary suffix for this? The special secondary suffix for this? Carbonyl chloride. So then what is the name? Benzene carbonyl chloride. So benzene carbonyl chloride. Benzene carbonyl chloride is the Iupac name for the given compound. So Iupac name, while writing the Iupac name, benzoyl chloride is a special name. So benzene carbonyl chloride is the Iupac name. So note down this, and these names are very important for you. Note down these compounds and try to identify the aryl group benzyl, benzal and benzo, and also benzoyl, ZOYL. Benzoyl group is this C6H5COCl, that is C6H5CO is the benzoyl group, benzoyl chloride, that is benzene carbonyl chloride. So benzene carbonyl chloride is the Iupac name. Okay, now take down this and let us move on to the naming of the disubstituted benzenes. Okay, now move on to next. So let us move on to the second one. So move on to the next one here, second one, that is naming of disubstituted benzene. Naming of disubstituted benzene. So disubstitution. So when a benzene ring, in a benzene ring, when 2 hydrogen atoms are replaced by 2 monovalent atoms or 2 group of atoms, then the resulting compound is called disubstituted benzene. Resulting compound is called disubstituted benzene. After the replacement of 2 hydrogen atoms present in a benzene, so that hydrogen may be replaced by another monovalent atom, because hydrogen is monovalent, maybe by another monovalent atoms or by group of atoms. Then such compounds are called disubstituted benzene. So then how to name the disubstituted benzene? So here the 2 substituent groups may be same, or the 2 substituent groups may be the substituent groups or the functional groups, and the two substituent groups may be same or they may be different. So, same substituent group attach ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ different substituent groups attach ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. One group may be functional group and one may be substituent. So, like that we have a different types of the disubstituted benzene here. So, let us consider when a similar or the like two substituent groups if it is present, how to name, and when two different substituent groups are present on benzene and how to name such benzene, the disubstituted benzenes, and if one is functional group, another one is substituent group, then how to name such compounds. So, let us consider naming of disubstituted benzene. Whenever two substituent groups are attached on a benzene ring, then they are designated by using the prefixes. We need to use the prefixes like ortho, meta, para. In common name, we need to use the symbols of these prefixes O, M, P, and this is for common name. Okay. So, while naming the disubstituted benzene, we have to designate the positions of two substituent groups by using prefixes ortho, meta, para. That is, O stands for ortho, M stands for meta, P stands for para. And these symbols of the prefixes that are used in a common name to indicate the position of two substituent groups. Then what do you mean by ortho position? Ortho position means the two substituents on the adjacent carbon atoms. So, when two substituent groups are on the adjacent carbon atoms, then, so this is O is the symbol, M and P. Let me write here, two substituents on the adjacent carbon atoms. On the adjacent carbon atoms. If two substituents on the alternate carbon atoms, then we need to give the position of two substituents on the benzene by using the prefix meta and the symbol for that is M. Okay. If two substituents are on the opposite carbon atoms. So, if they are on the opposite carbon atoms, then we need to designate the positions of those two groups on a benzene ring by using a prefix para, or you can use the symbol P. O stands for ortho, which indicates the position of two substituents on the benzene ring. What will be the position? When they are on the adjacent carbon atoms. If they are on the alternate carbon atoms, then the prefix will be M. If they are on the opposite carbon atoms, then the prefix is para. So, let me give the positions here. See, this is benzene ring, correct? And here is a substituent group, let it be A. So, A is a substituent group, is already present on a benzene. When one substituent group is on the benzene, then it is called monosubstituted benzene. So, after monosubstitution, you will get 5 positions for disubstitution. ಈಗ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಬೆನ್ಸಿನ್ ರಿಂಗ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ಮೋನೋ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟೆಡ್ ಬೆನ್ಸಿನ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಈಗ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಆಗಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ದೇರ್ ಆರ್ 5 ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಬೆನ್ಸಿನ್ ರಿಂಗ್. one position. If this is the position, this is adjacent to this. Hence, this position is ortho. This position is ortho. And if this is the position, since this position is alternate to this, then it will be meta. Clear? And since this position, if it is, since it is opposite to the substituent already present on a benzene ring, then it is para. And what about this? Here also it is ortho because it is adjacent, and this position is what? Alternate, and one is para. So, in mono-substituted benzenes, there are 5 positions. 2 positions are ortho positions because these positions are adjacent to the substituent group, and 2 positions are meta positions because these are alternate to this position, and 1 is para position because this is opposite to this substituent. So, mono-substituted benzene alli namige 5 positions sikkate for disubstitution, 2 ortho positions, 2 meta positions, and 1 para. 1 para yake? 1 para position already occupied by 1 substituent group. So, mono-substituted benzene alli yavade position baralla. So, for example, see here, this point you have to remember. What is this compound? Chloro-substituted benzene. Chlorobenzene. It is not para-chlorobenzene because we can use ortho, meta, para only for disubstituted benzene. Now, this is chlorobenzene. Now, you write this chlorine to this carbon. Okay. Now, this is also chlorobenzene. Okay. Now, what about this compound? What about this compound? This is also chlorobenzene, which means to say in mono-substituted benzene, we cannot give any position like ortho, meta, para. Mono-substituted benzene ige yavade position irodilla. That is ortho, meta, para anta use madala. So, ortho, meta, para prefixes are used to designate or to indicate the positions of 2 substituent groups on the benzene ring. That you have to remember. We are using the prefixes ortho, meta, para only for disubstituted benzene. Clear? Now, this is ortho position, and this is meta. This is para, this is also ortho, this is meta. 2 ortho positions, 2 meta positions, and 2 para positions. So, this is for common name. So, how to use it for Iupac name? So, when ortho position is there, in Iupac name we need to use the locants. Take this substituent, the carbon containing this substituent as 1. Okay, carbon containing substituent group or a functional group, you need to give it as 1. And the substituent group, this locant is given on the basis of nature of the substituent. ಅದು substituent group, functional group ನೋಡಿ ನಾವು locants na assign ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. When functional group and a substituent group both are present, we need to give the preference for functional group, and we have to assign the lowest possible number to that carbon which carrying a functional group. Okay, ಈ locants ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, so we need to give the lowest possible number to the carbon which carrying a functional group. ಯಾವ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ಗೆ functional group attach ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ that gets the lowest possible number, that is 1. Okay, so let us consider A is a functional group or the high priority group ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು 1 ಕೊಟ್ರೆ, then adjacent position here it is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 carbon atoms in benzene. If we give the locant 1 to that carbon which containing a substituent group, then this position becomes 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. Then ortho position is 1, 2. Not only 1, 2, it is 1, 6 also. Both are same, 1, 2 or 1, 6. 2 and 6 positions are ortho. So, if it get confused for you, means you can only represent 1, 2. Two substituents are on the adjacent carbon atoms. 1, 2 positions gives ortho. Similarly, 1, 3 position gives meta. So, 1, 3. This locants, 1, 2 locants are used to indicate the positions of substituent groups or the functional groups on the benzene ring. Disubstituted benzene. Disubstituted benzene in IUPAC system. ಕಾಮನಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಥೋಮೆಟಾ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ IUPAC ಸಿಸ್ಟಮಲ್ಲಿ ಲೋಕಂಟ್ಸನ್ನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ 1, 2 ಅಂತ ಬರೆದ್ರೆ ವಾಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಂಡಿಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ದ 2 ಗ್ರೂಪ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಆನ್ ದ ಅಡ್ಜಸೆಂಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ದಟ್ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ ಈಸ್ ಆರ್ಥೋ. ಇಫ್ ವಿ ರೈಟ್ 1, 3 it indicates the 2 groups are on the alternate positions and it is meta and para. Para is 1, 4. 1, 4 is para. 1, 4 that is para position. Opposite. So, this is adjacent, note down this, and this is alternate, and this is opposite, okay, clear. And this is about the naming of disubstituted benzene. So, whenever 2 substituent groups are present on a benzene, so the positions of the 2 substituent groups or the functional groups are designated by using the prefixes ortho, meta, para, adjacent, alternate and the opposite positions. O, M, P are the symbols that we can use as a prefix to indicate the position of 2 substituent groups on the benzene ring in a common name system. And in a IUPAC system, for adjacent position, for ortho position 1, 2 are the locants, and for meta position 1, 3, and for para position it is 1, 4. So, let us consider few examples here. So, I think just you write down this, note down this and try to remember the positions. And one more point, for monosubstituted benzene there is no designation of prefixes, no prefixes, that we are not using any prefixes here. Para, ortho, meta, para, no positions are given for the substituent group, only we need to give the position by using locant 1 only, because only one substituent is there. So, for monosubstituted benzene there will be no prefixes like ortho, meta, para, and these prefixes are applicable only for disubstituted benzene, not even for polysubstituted benzene. So, ortho, meta, para is applicable only for disubstituted benzene. Clear? Now, let us move on to the examples. Move on to the examples. See here, first condition here, if 2 like substituents are present, if 2 like substituents are present, if 2 like substituents are present, the similar substituents if they are present, then, so here is a compound Cl, like substituents I am giving Cl, see here one more Cl. So, I have given examples. Here we have 2 substituent groups are like substituents. Like substituents means both are same. 2 chlorine atoms are attached on a benzene ring. So, how to name this? Common name, the 2 position of 2 chlorine atoms are on the alternate, one after the other. 1 alternate. So, 1, 2, 3. So, if the number from this end 1, 2, 3, or else you can give the number from this end 1, 2, 3. So, it is alternate. Cl atoms are present on alternate carbon atoms. Then what is the position we need to give, or what is the prefix that we had to use for the substituent groups which are present on the alternate carbon atoms? Definitely meta, M. So, 2 chlorine atoms are there, M dichloropentane. Root word is benzene. Root word we have taken benzene as the chlorine atoms are substituent groups. We need to retain the root word benzene as it is. So, substituent groups ಆಗಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ root word benzene ಅನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. So, meta dichlorobenzene. Meta dichlorobenzene. Clear? So, meta stands for 2 chlorine atoms are on the alternate carbon atoms. So, you can also give the Iupac name 1,3 dichlorobenzene. 1,3 dichlorobenzene is the Iupac name. Now, move on to this. 2 chlorine atoms are on the adjacent carbon atoms. Therefore, what is the name? O dichlorobenzene. O stands for ortho, correct? Ortho dichlorobenzene. O dichlorobenzene. What is the position? Position is 1,2 dichlorobenzene. 1,2 dichlorobenzene. Clear? So, 1,2 dichlorobenzene is ortho dichlorobenzene. See here, 2 chlorine atoms are on the opposite positions. Therefore, P dichlorobenzene or 1,4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1,4 dichlorobenzene. So, 1,4 dichlorobenzene is the Iupac name. So, in that way you need to give the position of 2 substituent groups on the benzene. Meta dichlorobenzene, 1,3 dichlorobenzene, ortho dichlorobenzene, 1,2 dichlorobenzene, and para dichlorobenzene, that is 1,4 dichlorobenzene. So, whenever the similar or the like substituent groups are present on the benzene ring. If 2 different substituent groups, if it is present on a benzene ring, then how to name such compounds? 2 different substituent groups. See here, 2 different substituent groups if it is present, then this is example for 2 like substituents. If 2 different substituent groups are present, then, so the second condition, if 2 different substituents are present, then if 2 different substituents are present, then how to name this? See here, take down the examples of Cl, and I, and here I will give NO2 Br and one more methyl, and this is NO2. See, 2 different substituents are present on a benzene ring. Here chlorine is there and here is iodine, and bromine and nitro, and here methyl and nitro. If this is the case, then how to name the disubstituted benzene? So, when 2 substituent groups are different, So, again according to IUPAC system, we have to arrange them in alphabetical order. In common name also we have to arrange them in alphabetical order. So, prefix we are using ortho, meta, para depending on the position of two substituent groups. If they are on the adjacent carbon atoms, we have to use ortho, and if they are on the alternate carbon atoms, then we have to use meta. If they are on the opposite carbon atoms, then we have to use para. Clear? So, but after that prefix ortho, meta, para, we need to arrange the name of the substituent group according to alphabetical order. Similarly, in Iupac system, we had to use the alphabetical order of the name of the substituent groups along with the locants, Clear? So, now let us move on to the naming of these compounds. Chlorine is there, iodine is there, correct, and these two are on the adjacent carbon atoms. ಈಗ adjacent ನಾನು ಜನರಲ್ ಆಗಿ ತೋರಿಸಿದಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು, ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ. So, it should not be on these two carbon atoms. So, these two substituent groups may be on these two carbon atoms, may be on these two, may be on these two. Just you have to look at whether they are on adjacent carbon atoms. Yes, if they are on adjacent carbon atoms, then it is ortho position. If it is on alternate carbon atoms, then it is meta, and if it is on opposite carbon atom, then it is para. So, ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಅಡ್ಜಸೆಂಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಆಲ್ಟರ್ನೇಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ. ಟೂ ಪೊಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸೆಂಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಆಟಮ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದ್ದರೆ ದೆನ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ಥೋ. ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ರಿಮೆಂಬರ್. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ ಈ ಜನರಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಈ ಥರ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ, ಜನರಲ್ ರೆಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನಲ್ಲಿ ಎ ಆರ್ಥೋ ಮೆಟಾ ಪಾರ ಅಂತ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ. ಹೀಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿಲ್ಲ ಅದು. ಓಕೆ, ಈ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಯೆಂಟ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂತು ಅಂದರೆ ಇದು ಆರ್ಥೋ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. These two positions ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಆರ್ಥೋ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. If the same substituent group, if it comes here, then this becomes ortho. ಯಾಕಂದರೆ adjacent, that we have to remember. We need to remember adjacent, ortho, alternate, meta, opposite, para. We have to remember these three concepts: adjacent, alternate, opposite. Clear? Now, wherever may be the substituent, they must be on the adjacent. Here adjacent ಇದೆ, ಒಂದಾದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ, ಅಡ್ಜಸೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆರ್ಥೋ. ಸೊ, ದೆನ್ ಆರ್ಥೋ ಓ, ವಿಚ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್? ಆರ್ಥೋ ಕ್ಲೋರೋ ಅಯೋಡೋ ಬೆನ್ಸಿನ್. ಸೊ, ಆರ್ಥೋ ಕ್ಲೋರೋ ಅಯೋಡೋ ಬೆನ್ಸಿನ್. ಆರ್ಥೋ ಕ್ಲೋರೋ ಅಯೋಡೋ ಬೆನ್ಸಿನ್. Clear? So, chloro comes first and then iodo benzene. Now, what is the position? So, first the sum of the locants remains the same here if you give from this end or from this end. Therefore, you need to give the lowest possible number to that substituent group which comes first in alphabetical order. Therefore, 1, 2, then 1 chloro, 2 iodo benzene. 1 chloro, 2 iodo benzene is the Iupac name. Instead of writing the 1 and 2 locants together, we are giving the locants of chloro and iodo separately. So, 1 chloro, 2 iodo benzene. So, position 1, 2 indicates they are on the adjacent carbon atoms. Now, look at here, bromo is there, nitro is there, alphabetical order, bromo comes first and then the nitro. Now, you give the number from this end, 1, 2, 3. What is the common name? Meta, bromo, nitro, benzene. Meta indicates that two substituent groups are on the alternate carbon atoms, meta, bromo, nitro, benzene. Then what is the Iupac name? 1 bromo, 3 nitro, benzene. 3 nitro, benzene. Clear? 1 bromo, 3 nitro, benzene. Now, move on to next. Methyl group is there, nitro group is there. See here, they are on the opposite positions. Opposite ಹೆಂಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ? 1, 2, 3, 4 or else 1, 2, 3, 4. So, 1, 4 position is opposite positions. Therefore, methyl comes first, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is methyl nitrobenzene, or else 1 methyl 4 nitrobenzene. 1 methyl 4 nitrobenzene is the Iupac name. And remember, so here the position is opposite. There may be on these 2 carbon atoms, there may be on these 2 carbon atoms. Just you look at whether the groups are on the opposite positions. Okay, now I will give one more example for disubstitution here. One more example. See here, OH and CH3. This is CHOCl. Here the 2 substituent groups present on a benzene ring are different, and one of the groups here is a functional group. As you know that this is OH, this is CHO, these 2 are the functional groups. If one of the groups is the functional group, then you can take the special name of that compound as a root word. So now we got previous examples alli benzene na root word agi tagondvi. But if you forget this means, what you will get? You will get phenol. Now instead of using benzene as a root word, you can use phenol as a root word here. What phenol? Substituted phenol. What substituted phenol? Methyl substituted phenol. Methyl substituted phenol. Or else you can use the methyl substituted benzene all. Benzene 1-all. You need to give the locant 1 for this because this containing functional group. So always preference should be given to functional group. How to give the preference? By assigning lowest possible number to the carbon which carrying a functional group. So substituted phenol, you can name it as a substituted phenol. What substituted? Methyl substituted. What is the position of that methyl group? Since it is on the alternate carbon atom to OH group, you can name it as a meta derivative. Meta derivative, why? Because methyl group is on the alternate carbon atoms. And here aldehyde group is there, just you forget this. What you will get? Benzaldehyde. Benzaldehyde is the special name, or benzene carbaldehyde is the Iupac name. Benzene carbaldehyde is the Iupac name, benzaldehyde is the common name. And here you can substitute here with the Cl, means you can name it as a derivative of or a substituted benzaldehyde. You can take the root word as a benzaldehyde, or else you can take the root word as a benzene carbaldehyde. Clear? So if one of the groups is a functional group, then we can use the root word as the functional group containing benzene ring. We can use a special name or the name of that benzene carrying functional group as a root word instead of benzene as a root word, because we have the special name for those compounds which carrying a functional group. Now how to name this? Common name M-methyl metamethyl phenol. Why it is metamethyl? Because at the alternate position we have a methyl group in a phenol. So give the number 1, 2, 3, then you can name it as 3-methyl phenol. 3-methyl phenol. Then what about this? P chloro opposite irodinda para chloro benzaldehyde. See here, root word we are using benzaldehyde, or else you can use benzene carbaldehyde. And what about this? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 chloro benzene carbaldehyde. Benzene carbaldehyde. Here instead of benzene carbaldehyde, even you can use benzaldehyde. Even you can use benzaldehyde because it is a special name. You can retain benzaldehyde in the name or you can use benzene carbaldehyde. So while writing carbaldehyde, it is understood it is 1 carbaldehyde because the position of this is 1 carbaldehyde. So specifically you can write 1 carbaldehyde or you can ignore the locant 1 of the CHO. Clear? And this is about the naming of disubstituted benzene if it containing 2 like substituent groups or the 2 different substituent groups or one group is functional, another one is substituent. So taking the root word is important here. Okay. Now let us move on to the naming of polysubstituted benzene. Naming of see here naming of polysubstituted benzene. What do you mean by polysubstituted? The name itself indicates if more than 2 substituent groups are attached to the benzene thing, then they are called polysubstituted benzene. And again here also the 3 substituent groups may be, the 3 groups may be the substituent groups or in 3 groups 1 may be functional and 2 are the substituent groups. And in a given compound it may be 2 functional groups and 1 substituent, but whatever it may be, if functional group is present on a benzene ring, you need to consider only 1 functional group as in the Iupac name. Means as the rules in IUPAC system, so when a given compound containing more than 1 functional group, but in IUPAC name you will get only 1 secondary suffix. So we cannot give secondary suffix to all the functional groups, then we need to follow the priority table and we need to select one of the functional groups as a principal functional group. Only for principal functional group we had to give the secondary suffix, and for remaining functional groups we need to treat those remaining functional groups as a substituent groups, and for those substituent groups we had to give the prefixes. Same rules apply agatilli. Aliphatic compounds alli polyfunctional compounds na ನಾವು ನೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಾಲ್ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಗಿ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ಆನ್ ದ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಯಾರಿಟಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾವ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಹೈ ಪ್ರಿಯಾರಿಟಿ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಏನು ಬರಿತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಸಫಿಕ್ಸ್. ಅಂದರೆ IUPAC ನೇಮಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಸಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಮೋರ್ ದ್ಯಾನ್ 1 ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಸಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. Clear? So only 1 secondary suffix will be there in the what? IUPAC name. Prefixes ಎಷ್ಟಾದರೂ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಸಫಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಒಂದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ IUPAC ನೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಆಫ್ ದ polysubstituted benzene. The same rules we need to use. We need to satisfy the lowest sum rule while assigning the locants. We need to satisfy the lowest sum rule, and if functional group is there, we need to give the preference for functional group, and we need to assign the lowest possible number to that carbon which carrying a functional group. All the rules applicable for naming the polysubstituted benzene also. Okay. Now let me give the example here. NO2 Cl CH3. So 3 substituent groups are here, and COOH Cl CH3. See, all the 3 are substituent groups. Here One is functional group and the two are substituent groups, and one more example I will give it later. So, these three are the substituent groups, and first we need to give the locants to the carbon which carrying substituent groups, and we cannot give the common name here because we are not using any prefixes like ortho, meta, para. As I said, the prefixes ortho, meta, para is applicable only for disubstituted benzene, and it is not for monosubstituted or the polysubstituted benzene. We can give only the Iupac name for such type of compounds which containing more than 2 substituent groups, but we need to follow, we need to satisfy the lowest sum rule while allotting or while assigning the locants. Now, methyl group is there, Cl is there, NO2 is there. Now, give the number, if you give the number from this end, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 plus 3, 4, 4 plus 4, 8. If you give the number from this end, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 plus 2, 3, 3 plus 4, it is 7. So, therefore, we need to give the number from this end 1, 2, 3, 4. Since all the groups are substituent, again we have to take benzene as a root word. So, now this is a substituted benzene. What substituted? Tri-substituted benzene. What are the 3 substituents? One is methyl, another one is chlorine, another one is nitro. Again arrange them in alphabetical order and give the root word at the end. So, what is alphabetical order? 2 chloro, 1 methyl, 4 nitro, benzene. Clear? Clear? 2 chloro, 1 methyl, 4 nitro, benzene. Tri-substituted benzene. What substituted? Chloro, methyl, nitro substituted benzene. What are the position? One methyl group is on the first position, second position ali chloro ide, fourth position ali nitro ide. Okay. Now, move on to the next one. Here, one group is a functional group, and that functional group is the functional group which containing the carbon atom, and it is a terminal functional group. So, when this is a functional group, so now just you forget these two substituent group, then you take the root word benzoic acid or benzene carboxylic acid instead of benzene as a root word. So, if you forget this means this becomes benzoic acid or benzene carboxylic acid. Now, substituted benzene carboxylic acid. What substituted? Disubstituted benzoic acid. Now, we have to name it as a disubstituted benzoic acid. What are those substituent groups? Chlorine and the methyl. You need to arrange them in alphabetical order, and before that we need to give the positions for those substituent groups. While giving the locants, you need to assign the lowest possible number to that carbon which carrying a functional group, and during that even you can violate the lowest number rule. Okay. Now, move on to this you can violate the lowest sum rule while assigning the lowest possible number to the carbon which carrying a functional group. During that even you can violate the lowest sum rule. ಕೆಲವೊಮ್ಮೆ ನಾವು ಲೋಕೆನ್ಸ್ ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪಿಗೆ ಲೋಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಪಾಸಿಬಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ ನ ಅಸೈನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಆ ಲೋಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸಮ್ ರೂಲ್ ವೈಲೇಟ್ ಆಗಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಲೋಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಸಮ್ ರೂಲ್ ವೈಲೇಟ್ ಆದರೂ ಕೂಡ ನಾವೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಲೋಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಅಸೈನ್ ಟು ದಟ್ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಕ್ಯಾರಿಂಗ್ ಎ ಫಂಕ್ಷನಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್. ಸೊ 1, 2 and 3. Now arrange these two substituents in alphabetical order. 2 chloro, 3 methyl, benzoic acid. Benzoic acid, or else you can name it as 2 chloro, 3 methyl, benzene, 1 carboxylic acid. Benzene, 1 carboxylic acid. Okay. So, 2 chloro, 3 methyl, benzoic acid, or 2-chloro-3-methyl benzene 1-carboxylic acid, and that is the Iupac name. So, this is about the naming of monosubstituted, disubstituted and polysubstituted what? Benzene, derivatives of benzene. So, in the next class, let us consider few examples of naming monosubstituted, disubstituted and trisubstituted or the polysubstituted benzene derivatives. Okay. Thank you.